В смысле? АМ это, да, обед? Ну, ну, это мне тогда заливаешь. Сейчас тогда PM сколько? 23:46. Блять, 11 часов? Оу е. Чё, погодите-ка. Погодите-ка. Я вижу. Бля. Он не что туплю. Ну, я? Я? Ты разбираешь. Идет. Здорово. Нужно паузу поставить. Так, пока не начали игру, могу я кое-что сказать? Спасибо, что правильно выставили время оба раза, что запускали игру. Хо-хо-хо. Многие относятся к этому как-то несерьезно, оставляют часы на 12:00 и торопятся дальше. А вы потратили время, чтобы выставить часы, и я это ценю. Это говорит мне о том, что вы играете внимательно, что для вас важны детали. А я ведь даже не знаю, правильно ли вы время выставили. Знаете что, давайте договоримся. Я вам так доверяю, что при следующем запуске игры просто выставьте на этом экране свое любимое время. Выбирайте любое время, даже если оно неправильное, вы служили. Теперь можем вернуться к игре. Приятно. А? Да не следит? Он сказал, типа, спасибо, что правильно выставили время, хотя я даже не знаю, правильно ли вы выставили время. Кстати, вторая часть. Видишь? Вторая часть. Это не кликбейтное название. Кстати, кнопка пропустить появилась. Опа. Там у нее целая история была, ну, до этого новый контент, так сказать. Смотри, теперь везде тут шарики. Это новый контент, новый контент. Оп-оп. Опа, смотри, новый контент. Ведро, контент. То же самое. Только ведро есть. И вот смотри, у меня, видишь, на ведре наклейки 2 штуки. Знаешь, где их получил? Догадайся. Я с ведром, короче... Я с ведром... С ведром зашел в кладовку. И этот рассказчик начал говорить, мол, кладовка хочет забрать твое ведро. Сначала он налепил мне наклейку собственной Стэнли, а потом вторую. Блин, какое классное ведро. Получается, все концовки чуть-чуть меняются.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure.
Это
Stanley
да.
reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired. Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home, here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Это та же самая игра, то, что я играл. Просто нужно было не засыпать. Это новый контент.
Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Это та же самая Ультра Делюкс. Голос рассказчика изменился. Это потому что... Чё, потому что? Потому что он стебется, типа, с ведром. Не знаю. Все понятно, он больше ничего не скажет.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section
Здесь что
and
было?
walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Так, что там было? Там хуйня какая-то была, да? Не помню. А я могу назад? Чисто теоретически, я же никогда так не пробовал, да? Ладно, нельзя. Да, не пойду. С ведром все по-другому. О, тут цвет поменялся, смотри. Чё? Такого не было? Что-то мне мурашки пошли, блядь. Trust the completion's instincts. There will be a rewind for finding them all. Окей. Who are you? 666, лол. Кстати, теперь появились фигурки. Фигурки можно вот эти вот искать.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Врешь. Я хочу наклейку. Да еще. Наклейку. Ты тут? Дай наклейку. Зажопил наклейку. Блять, да у тебя есть наклейка, 100 пудов. Какая-нибудь, не знаю, другого цвета. А то что-то желтый с белым как-то не сочетаются. Вот еще один какой-нибудь цвет наклеечки. Классный. В виде фигурки. Ладно. Зажопил.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
О!
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines?
Стэнуэтка?
Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Ну, пойдет. Он сразу сказал, типа, я расставил их по приколу. Так. Типа, никакой награды не будет.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his
О,
bliss of
точно,
simply
ничего
being near the
себе.
bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
А если я не вел бы?
Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Не шуми. О, нифига. Сразу так?
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies.
Фикстенкой? Что такое
What name
фикстенка?
better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness
А,
that you
фигурка
get
Стэнли,
from
типа,
seeing a
все
small
понял.
number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Я бы сюда ее закинул, на самом деле. Типа, неприметное место. Поехали.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket.
Да-да.
Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Не-не, ведро не
Everyone
теряй.
in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Все будет хорошо. Все хорошо.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been
Да,
told
да.
to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Поехали.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Да-да. Никому не доверяй, кроме ведра.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way. And the
Пять.
bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Она, кстати, этот гремит так. Со временем очень бесит. Я сюда, кстати, не спускался. А, это прикол, ну ладно. Это же кнопка 4, правильно? А что там сверху? Как туда попасть? Да фиг его знает, что с этими кнопками всеми делать, конечно. 100 пудов есть какая-то закономерность, либо код. Пока не знаю, где его достать. Четверки нет, есть 5. Труту. О, не сработал. Ну здесь? А, я здесь не смотрел. О, что это? А, красный, зеленый, оранжевый 10. Посмотрим. Нифига. Ладно, я еще вернусь сюда. В следующий раз сейчас закончим вот эту концовку. Ведром. Также отключу.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
Открой.
Yes, they had done it.
Yeah.
Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind-control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
Что?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Нет.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Нет.
Even the
Нет.
facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
Блять.
Lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket.
Смотри, концовка реально
Not
изменилась.
while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Меня не выпустили. Класс.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Опять. Ага. Что-то не понимаю. Это комната босса. Тайная стена, типа там. Это что-то значит? Так. Ну, пока ничего такого не вижу.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom
Ясно.
closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Что-то закрыто. Во! Что закрыто-то было? М? Да, может, в концовке нарисовано, но почему там комната босса-то? Лифт изменился, нет? Я не знаю, можно ли дождаться здесь. Угу. Ну такая же песенка и была до этого. Кстати. Это какой-то мусор на носу. О, запел. Еще. Это рассказчик поет? Прикол ему в лифте стоячим стоять, да? Мне, то есть. Кстати, этот... Если время будет, лучше посмотреть, что там было. Там вообще, ну, прикольные добавили. Диалоги прикольные там, смешные. Если не удалиться. Хотя я... Я, наверное, могу на YouTube загрузить, если что. Мне кажется, ничего не будет. Че, валим? Ну, окей. Ого! Новый этаж получается.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Спасибо.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Хотя бы без без приколов с, блять, музыкой. Потом бы он сейчас этот застопил. Сейчас опять попробуем что-нибудь там натыкать. Если что-нибудь получится, я нажму кнопку включить. Блин, там же далеко так идти, на самом деле.
mind control facility.
Ой, я думал, проход. Блин, а чё здесь? Тут же много всего есть. Типа, мне их просто концовки нужно найти.
Enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
А, блин, я вспомнил, я же этот...
Monitors jumped to life,
В
and
одну
Stanley
дверь
nearly
вообще не
dropped the
ходил.
bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs.
С этим, с платформой. Помнишь, с которой я спрыгнул?
Very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Сейчас там что-то 4-2-1 было. Пушка. 4 на доске. 4-2-1 вроде, да? Потому что... Да нет, это офис обычный.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Опа.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
О,
They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
а тут везде так. Красный, зеленый, оранжевый, синий. А там вроде синего нет. Блин, я думаю, здесь подойдет. А-а. Ой! А на ней, смотри, рисунок есть. А на этих нет. Опа. Расслабляющий комнат с космосом, но этот... У меня была концовка какая-то с космосом, где он с ума сходит. Где? О, вот, 10. На это что-нибудь нарисовано? На желтый чуть не вижу. Кто знает. Что там на желтый еще должно быть? Да, там нарисовано. Да. Осталось зеленый найти. Так. Где зеленые? Может здесь? А, стоп. Ай, заблудился. Запутался. Вот здесь. Нет. Где зеленую? Где зеленую? Что на зеленой должно быть? Две стрелочки, ну типа стрелки. Они должны быть прям выделены хорошо. М. Так, блять. Может, ее здесь нет? А здесь где зеленая? О, вот они. Вот они все зеленые. Не понял. Как, блять, мне включить это? Красный. А, стоп, провод. Отсюда. Отсюда. Так. Зеленый. Ну, допустим, ладно. Да нихуя не работает. 142. Ну, подсказку дай, что ли? Ладно. Я еще приду сюда. Пока не знаю, может мне просто не открыто. Хотя что здесь может быть не открытого?
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn
Блин,
on the
ведро, ты чего?
controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Это ласточка.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after
А,
another,
это просто
and then it
лево-право?
dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
Красивые
The
птички.
mind
О,
controls were only a
пингвинчики.
facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who
Гений.
had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken,
Гусь.
this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Совы, совы. Блин. Да, это чайка. Была. Их. А есть... А, блин, а что там все
All of
без
his
ведра?
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ведро, пока что. Что это? О.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Интересно.
he entered the door on his left.
Без ведра одиноко. Никаких подсказок. Опа! Хе-хе.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ты уверен? Мне кажется, это повторяется.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Чё шумит
It was
здесь?
baffling that Stanley was still just
Да,
sitting in the broom
повторяется.
closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in coming to a staircase. Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Повторяется. Давай, бла-бла-бла.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute
Ну
to
давай,
just let
блин,
the
ну чё
narrator
ты?
talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new
Ёпт.
age music.
Угораешь.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Проходи, пожалуйста. Жопа. Я бы хотел сначала без ведра, на самом деле, пройти концовочки, которые я до этого не проходил.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Да ёпт. Проходной двор.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
О!
Stanley's co-workers.
А,
The lives of
это
so
просто
many
номера.
individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
окей.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Опа.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Опа.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Короче, сейчас пойдем после этой концовочки направо. Там в дверь с платформой. Надо сходить, потому что я там вообще ничего не делал. Тупо упал.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted?
Ой!
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that
А я их
machine can
включил.
do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off
Я
and
их
leave.
включил.
If you
Я
want to throw my story
включил.
off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you
Я
do. For example,
включил.
and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode,
Ой,
eliminating the
бля.
entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the
Ебать.
star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes
Блять.
off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you,
Charge?
about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that?
Incorrect.
You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell
Ничего
you
себе.
exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you
Блять.
free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever,
Не
pushing buttons
понимаю.
endlessly and then dying alone.
Открылась,
Other times,
открылась.
I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though. This version of events has been
Не
rather
успею.
amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm
Не
enjoying
надо,
this
не
so
надо
much.
меня
You know
напрягать.
what?
Я
To hell
пытаюсь,
with
как
it. I'm going to
могу.
put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Спасибо.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that
Пиздец.
something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running
Incorrect.
from button to button,
5,
screen
5,
to
5.
screen, clicking on every little
Зеленая
thing in this
5.
room.
А,
These
сейчас
are
красную
buttons.
1.
Oh, these colored ones. Or maybe this big
А,
red button.
1.
Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me.
Нет.
Why would you think that,
Что
Stanley?
происходит?
That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley.
Да,
You're
блядь.
in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every
Раз.
moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge.
Блять, что?
You wanted to control this world, that's fine.
4 желтая.
I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me.
Goodbye.
All part of the joke.
А,
And
сука.
believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the
Нет.
moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Прикол. Я не понимаю, как это делать.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
Ну,
meeting.
прикольно.
Perhaps he had simply
шо он,
missed a
да.
memo.
Я так и подумал, что не зря они там не закрыли. Сейчас, сек. В следующий раз будет, наверное, другая концовка. Еще одна, ну, запутанная, которая была, только с ведром.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps
Ой, я
we've
могу
gotten
сюда
off on
еще
the wrong
спрыгнуть.
foot here. I'm not
Сейчас же
sure
он меня наверх
really
поведет.
not. I realize that investing in your
Вон
trust
туда.
in
А
someone
я
else
могу
can be
еще сюда
difficult,
спрыгнуть.
but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
Типа ведро?
I'm not asking for me.
А, для нее.
I'm asking for, this is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Он про кого? Не про ведро точно. Ой. Блять.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith. Oh, no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone?
Ну чё?
That wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
Я его запутав.
Oh, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's
Нет.
taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits.
Ой, я такое пропустил.
The phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible?
Ну, вот так
None
вот.
of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world.
Не надо.
Please observe this helpful
Не
instruction.
надо. Бля.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Запомним. Запомнил?
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Нет. Ладно. Ой, смотри, они забор поставили. Сука.
We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Есть ключ-карта? Может, я там мог ее подобрать? Хотя вряд ли. Здесь вообще ничего носить не могу, кроме ведра. Прям назад ты хочешь, чтобы я прошел? Ну ладно.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Ой. Нифига. Что-то вас так это сплющило. Их. Э. Ну все. Серьезно? Может, я здесь постоять могу? Ну, я могу здесь постоять, и будет ли от этого толк? Ничего не тыкается. Но дверь не закрылась. Да бля. А что с ним? Куда он пропал? Я в левую дверь зашел.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Да стой! Блять. Эй! Что? Он не выключил игру? У меня не перезагрузилась. Блять.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed.
Ой.
It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child.
Что обзываешься?
Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Продолжаем.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. behave exactly as Stanley
Блять.
would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Вот ничего не
Behave
меняется.
exactly as Stanley would.
Ну и
That means
последний раз.
choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why
Нет.
did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ну ладно.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
В смысле? Как он закрыл?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
В
boss's
смысле?
office.
Тут же был проход. Он мне все двери закрыл. Чё?
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Night Shark 115?
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark
Так я не могу говорить.
115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Night Shark 115. Блять, ты чё, рофлишь? Я же не могу. Night Shark
I'm sorry, is
115.
there a problem?
Я не могу говорить.
You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Ночная акула 115.
Okay, fine. You're not gonna do
Да
it. But
блин.
you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
Ну ты...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
Конец.
I need you to walk through the door.
Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right?
Угу.
Stanley, this is important.
Блин, жалко его.
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
Он так грустно говорит.
I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
И
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
мне кажется, сейчас будет штука с заплатной
Warmth
концовкой.
spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was
Да.
Stanley
нет.
clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
Блять.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo. Good.
Said the bucket.
Противно он
Now
озвучивает.
ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Окей.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and
смысле?
telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk.
It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Понял.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video
О,
on comedy
видео по
that one
комедии
can watch
теперь.
to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
Ну давай. Ладно.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
Лол. Понял.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Так. Окей.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So, with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Блин, опять.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Окей. Повторим то, что было до этого. Блин, еще бы трубку взять, конечно.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Ой. Ой, блядь.
We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was made.
Шутку испортил, получается.
It's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional
Нет, только не со мной. Нет.
Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Блять.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're
опять?
back at the phone already? No.
Все, понял.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No, 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 no. You were supposed to go
В
through the door
смысле?
on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your
Теперь я
fault,
виноват. Да, я виноват,
Stanley.
что
I'm going to be
шутка испорчена.
ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
В смысле?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you. It's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No?
Не.
Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame. Pale. What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
Лол.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone.
Чё?
Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Разве и так начиналось?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Как-то по-другому он начал рассказывать.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Блять, ну ладно. Куда я иду, блин, зачем?
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet. Simply because I have coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Не, рестарт.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Блин, там,
Stanley
наверное, какая-то
decided to go
концовка
to the
была,
meeting
может.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Ладно.
memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've
Как
been
мне туда
neglecting,
попасть?
Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to...
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now. I
Ты
want
откуда
you to come in
говоришь?
and tell
С
me all
тумбочки.
about-
Блять. Блять.
Gotcha!
Дебил.
Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Козел. Не хочу нажимать. Ладно, понял.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's
Да ты
told to
козел.
do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Ну ладно. Или я могу не нажимать. А, я не могу обратно пойти. Я не могу ничего другого нажать.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
О,
And so he began to
а
fantasize
где?
about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Детьми?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered
Ой.
through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Офигеть.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no
Блять.
answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's
А,
doing is
это...
pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself?
Ой.
How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Есть выбор? Ладно.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Офигел. Но это не конец. А, конец. О! Чё?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Опа. Фигурка.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler anlarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler anlarines. None of us can.
Ладно, по-другому здесь никак. А, нормально. Чё?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun.
Блять,
So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun.
как стрёмно.
That it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you?
Ну,
What a
нет.
silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Ну ладно. Всё, достаточно, наверное, пока. Спишь, да? Козел. Время Данилу написать, да? Ладно, я в Радугу тогда.